It's Maureen here from Crochet Cavalier. You probably have seen in my introductory little intro video that I pop in at the start of my videos some log cabin blankets that I made. So I've had a few inquiries from friends and from some of my viewers here for a tutorial on how to make the log cabin blanket. So that's what we're going to be doing today, a little tutorial on how to do that. So I've made up this swatch just to show you how a log cabin blanket starts and looks. So we start off with this square in the middle, and then we start to add some logs or some rectangular sections, and it gets bigger and bigger. So you can do this in solid colors, or you can use variegated colors. You can use acrylic, which I'm using today, the Moda Vera Valley yarn from Spotlight here in Australia. It's an 8-ply, which is a DK weight, and it's 150 grams, 375 meters. And we're using a 4mm hook. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using today for our tutorial, but you can use wool. I will show you some alternatives from acrylic and pop in some video footage of some blankets that I've made in wool, and also some that I used color blending for, with using different strands together as well. But I will be making another tutorial of a wool one and one with color blending, so we can just cover all those bases for anyone that wants to do some color blending while they're making these. The variegated yarn from Spotlight, and also I will be talking about Bendigo Woolen Mills. Here in Australia have a beautiful variegated multicolored sock yarn, which is a 4-ply fingering weight, and they have an 8-ply DK weight one, which I can't think of the name of, but I'll pop the name of it in here now. Okay, so let's get started with our tutorial now. I'm going to use this Moda Vera Valley yarn from Spotlight, 100% acrylic. I've got a few different colours that I've been using for another blanket, so I thought I'd just use this to demonstrate the log cabin pattern, log cabin blanket pattern. And you can use any other type of yarn for this. Wool, you can use like 2 strands of different colours or 3 strands together, and then change colours every round. But because we've got this variegated yarn, we're going to use this because it'll work up really nice. I'm using a 4mm hook for the Moda Vera Valley. So what we want to do is we want to start off with a slip knot and then chain 16. So when you're making the log cabin blanket, hang on, I'll just count and then I'll keep talking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. So I'm just going to explain to you exactly what happens. So when you're making the blanket, you're going to be working in rows of half double crochet back and forth. So the beginning of it is going to be a square. So we're going to make enough rows to make a square in the middle, and then the other sections of the blanket are going to be worked off that around in sections. So you can either do, depending on what sort of yarn you're using, you can either do 5 rows and then 5 rows this way, 5 rows that way, 5 rows that way, and you're going to keep doing that as it gets bigger. Or you can do 7 rows. So always it has to be an odd number, and you'll see why as we're going. You can start off with 3 rows, 5 rows, or 7 rows, but you'll be continually doing the same. So you make a decision at the start of your blanket how many rows you want to do. If you're doing lots of different colours, like plain colours, I probably would do maybe 3 rows, because then it'll look nice when you change colours every 3 rows. Unless, you can still do 5 or 7, but anyway, I think 3 looks nice. But for a variegated yarn, I think a 5-row or a 7-row looks really good. You get enough colour changes in the variegation to just see the colour changes within those 5 rows. And because I've got different types of Moda Vera Valley, I've got a few more even than these. You can do, your square with one of the variegations, then change maybe to that one on this side, change with this one on that side, change with that one on that side. And as it gets bigger, you get all the different colour changes and it'll look beautiful. Or you can just stay with the same colours. But I think for a log cabin, to see that actual effect of like logs because that's why it's called log cabin, to see those different sections having a little bit of variation in your colour ranges. It does look really nice. And the other thing I wanted to say, the reason I'm doing 16 is just to make it easier for me when I'm counting. So we start off with 16, but we're actually going to have 15 stitches of this square. And so then when we go to the next stage, which will be one of the other colours on the side, it will be 5 rows of 15. And as the blanket increases, it increases by 5 stitches on each side. So it just makes it easier in my own head then to count, like 15 and 15 that way it'll be, and then 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So because you do have to keep a count of your stitching as you go so that it keeps in a nice shape. And I just find multiples of 5 is easier for my brain anyway to calculate than counting up in 7s or 3s or, you know, some random number. All right, so we've got 16 stitches there. So we want to work directly into the next stitch along. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so we yarn over. We're going to work into that first stitch there, yarn over and come out, yarn over, and through all 3 stitches, and that's your first half double crochet. All right, and then again yarn over in the next stitch, yarn over and out, yarn over through all 3, yarn over in, yarn over out, yarn over through all 3. All right, so you get the idea of a half double crochet. It's a half of a double, so instead of doing at this stage now you go through 2 and then through 2, you're just going through all 3 of them. All right, and different from a single crochet you would just go straight in, but with a half double you do yarn over and go into the stitch, yarn over and come out. You've got three loops on your hook and you want to go through all 3 of them. All right, so we'll keep working until we get to the end of the row. And I'm just going to count those now. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I do need to go into that very last stitch there to make 15. All right, and then we chain 2 and turn our work and work back the other way. All right, working into the first stitch again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, see it's already starting to change colour now, 13, 14, and the last one. It can be a bit tricky to catch that one, and 15. All right, and then chain 2 and turn, and that's what you're going to do, but keep a check of your counting. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. we've got 15 stitches there, so we want to keep it at that. The reason I like variegated yarn is, yeah, because of the beautiful colour changes. And the Moda Vera Valley is nice and soft even with this. It doesn't feel too stiff. Like I made the pouches, well, not this one, but other pouches with the Moda Vera Valley that I did my tutorial in. And the moss stitch is a lot more stiff. But it is nice and soft with the half double crochet, or even a double crochet if you're doing a granny square. If you wanted to use wool, a very nice variegated wool is Bendigo Woolen Mills have a 4-ply multicoloured sock yarn. That's really nice if you're wanting to make a baby blanket that's nice and soft, to use their variegated colours. They also have an 8-ply one. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but there's only one, and they have the nice 200-gram balls. So you might only need like maybe 4 or 6 of those balls to make a nice, good size big blanket. I'll pop in some photos of blankets that I've made with their variegated wool. They have a beautiful one called Bendigo Bloom, but they don't have that anymore. They have another one now, but yeah. Anyway, the Moda Vera Valley's got beautiful colours in it, and yeah. The only thing about acrylic yarn is, and I don't know about this one, is when you go to wash it, after a number of washes, I don't know whether it's going to peel or what it's, what sort of condition it's going to be in, or how long it's going to look nice still. Some acrylics start to look a bit ratty after a few years of washing them, and that's why I like to use wool for most of my blankets that I'm going to keep, because I know to wash them in cold water and they don't peel and they just stay beautiful forever. Like they'll last for forever. I've made some that I made 15 years ago and they still look like brand new, and I've used them on lounges and things. So I do like using wool, but yeah, I don't mind using acrylic either. It's nice and warm, and if you're giving it to someone as a gift, you're not sure if they're going to put it in the washing machine and forget about washing it on cold water. They might shrink it. Then acrylic is better if you're giving it as a gift. All right, just checking my counting again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. You don't have to count every single row, but I usually just check every so often. So we'll keep working until we get a square, and then I'll come back and show you what the next bit is. All right, so I've got my square there. So my square, depending on your tension, and I have used this thickness of wool with like a 4.5 or a 5mm hook as well, and then I found that it's just too loose and too floppy. So if you're wanting a blanket that's not too stiff, but just a nice drapey sort of blanket, a 4mm hook with this particular yarn is really good. And I think on the ball band, does it say what size to use? Well, it's saying 4mm needle size if you're going to knit with it, and I usually go with whatever a needle size if it doesn't have a hook there as well. Some yarn will show you needles and hook. Then I usually just stick with the same size, so 4mm is good. Okay, so for my tension that I've used, I've actually made 12 rows to make it a square. If your tension is looser or a bit tighter, just keep working until you've got a square. So even if that's a few more rows bigger. And then you can always double check it by just folding it over into a triangle like that. And if all the corners meet up, then you've got a square. So that's an easy way to do it. Okay, so because I've got different colour ones, I'm going to change now. So I'm going to cut off my yarn here. I'm going to join one of my other colours. maybe I might join this one. No, actually this one's already open, so let's join this one. All right. Okay, so I just usually start crocheting straight away with the next ball and work them together. So just chain 2, and we're going to now turn our work. So this is where we would have, kept going that way if we're making it bigger. We're going to turn our work and work along the side of the square. You can leave all your ends out and weave them in later, but I like to weave them in as I go so that I don't have to weave in so much. And now you want to make 15 stitches along here. So we've chained our 2. I'm going to work straight away into that first stitch there to make my first one. 1. And let me just see how many rows I've got there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, so I can pretty much got 15 on, even though I only did 12 rows. All right, so if I go into every stitch that I can see a space on the side, we got 3. And see, I'm just holding the tails along the back there as I'm going. So that's 3, 4. If I try and make this first row when I'm changing colours a little bit tighter, then it hides, well, it didn't hide it there, did it? It usually hides the colours at the back. If you're not happy with that, you can just weave in the ends later. Actually, I might do that. Just leave it out and weave it in later, because I don't like seeing yarn through the back of the wool if it's a different colour. It just looks messy, so I'll just weave it in later. All right, so I just keep working along the side, and I try to keep a count as I'm going. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So just try and spread them out evenly. So you've got 15 stitches there, and then chain 2, turn your work and work back the other way into all those 15 stitches. 2, 3. Okay, keep working until you get 5 rows and then come back. All right, so there's my first lot of 5 rows there that I've got. So that's how it's going to look. And the reason you want to do an odd number is because you always want it to, so we worked this way first of all, now we're working down this side. We want it to end on a row where you're going to head back down the other way. All right, so if you did an even number, you'd be on the wrong side to work on. So if it's 3 rows, you'll be at this end, 5 rows, 7 rows. Looking at that, I could even do another 2 rows and do 7 rows there. But I'm going to stick with 5 for now, just for this demonstration and for making it easier to count the rows. So we've got 5 there. Now I'm going to cut that one off and join my next colour. Okay, and we're ready to chain 2 and start on our next side. So turning this way now and stitching in there. And you want to make, along this side, you want to make, because now we're increasing the row by 5, you want to make 5 stitches along the side there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 in each row that you've done on the side there, and then continue along on your other square to get your 15 stitches. Okay, so I'll put 1 there, 6, and then working into each stitch there, 7, 9, 10, and we want to end up with 20 stitches. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, there we go, just right, 19, and 20. All right, we've got our 20 rows there. Okay, so we'll work back and forth until we get 5 rows. Come back and we'll show you the next bit. So there's 3 of my sides done already. So I've got the center square, I've got 1 panel here, 1 panel along there. So the next one now, because we've done 5 rows, 20 stitches, is going to start along this side here. Again, we're going to do 5 stitches and our 15. So this side will also still be 20. And then because we're increasing here, the next row is going to be 25. And then this row will be 25. Yeah, so it'll just keep, you'll notice the increase as you go. Personally, I like this into this fade. I'm not loving this dark colour here. It's probably not something I'd keep, so I might, you know, ditch that one. Or I don't know, I mean, once it gets bigger, maybe once it gets bigger, some of these other lighter colours might come into play. So I just don't particularly like that dark there, I think, against this. Anyway, we'll just keep going and see how we go. All right, so we're going to cut off this one now and join our 4th one. All right, so we're going to join our 4th colour now. The only one criticism I have about Moda Vera Valley is that the balls are wound, they're quite a big ball, I think they're 150 grams, is that right? 150 grams. They're wound quite loose, and so when you first start to use them, they fall apart very easily and you can end up in a big mess very quickly, which I just did, so that's why it took a while to come back again. All right, so I'm doing my 5 stitches along the way here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Could possibly fit another one in there, even 6. 7. Yeah, so that the balls can get very messy very quickly. I'll show you if it happens next time. And then you have to be very careful to untangle it and rewind it because it can knot up really quickly. So what have we got here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. $15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So do you understand what's happening there? So you've got your 15 along here. And then, so when you get to the next side, you're increasing the 15 by another 5. So you've got 20, and the same this way. But you'll notice what happens when we go to the next side. It'll increase again by another 5. I think every 3rd row, or yeah, every 2 rows are the same, and then the 3rd one increases. All right, so do it 5 rows and we'll come back again. All right, so there's my those 4 colours that I've got there. I mean, yeah, you can just make it with one ball because you've got enough colour variation in there that it probably would change as it goes around. That would look all right. I'm just not really in love with that dark next to the lighter colour there, but as it gets bigger, it might look nice seeing the contrast rather than just all, you know, pastel-y shades or all dark colours. So I'm going to work with it and just keep going and see how it looks as it gets bigger. So because I've only got the 4 colours, I have actually got a 5th one, which I might get out in a minute. It's a pink. What you want to remember is, yeah, if I used only this colour here, it's not going to change enough. There's not enough colour changes in that one like there is in here. In here you've got like the blues, purple, red, yellow, green, brown. You've got enough different colours to give you some variation as it goes around. But this one basically is those colours there, and that's it as it gets bigger. So when you're working with that same colour, you're just going to be getting those same colours. So you'll lose the effect of those squares. It'll still make a nice blanket, but it just won't have that same, won't look as dramatic in the changes. So if you're going to use different colours, what I've found in the past is I've only got 4. If I only have 4 here, my next colour now is going to be that one again. So I'm going to have this right on top of that. So you'll have a little bit of a difference here on these corners, but you'll have that same there. And it won't look like, I don't know, it just won't look as good, I don't think. So what I could do then is maybe do that colour again. So it's opposite this one. You don't want to do this one here and then go to the next one, which will be that one again, and then that one again, and then that one again, because then you're just going to be having the same problem all the time. You're going to have the same colours on the same side. So you want to alternate them. All right, so if you've only got 4 or 3 different colours, just make sure that the same one is on the opposite side, not next to it or not directly on it. Do you understand what I mean? Does that make sense? All right, so if I was only going to use these 4 colours, I probably would use this one here now, and then maybe that one here, and this one over here, and the light blue one over there. So yeah, just do it sort of, sort of alternate it as it's going around, if that makes sense to you. But I will go and get my 5th ball and use that, because then I think having 5 or 6 colour changes, you're not going to have that problem of having the same colour too close together. You'll be able to work with, you know, different ones as you're going around to keep it interesting looking, if that makes sense to you. I'll show you one that I did with some plain colours. I'll pop that in here. The one I'm thinking of was also a spotlight acrylic, and I made it for a young man, a friend of ours, and he picked these particular colours. Sorry, my throat's just getting a bit hoarse. He picked those particular colours, and when I worked it, it started to look very geometric, like it was blue, red, green, brown, blue. It was just, anyway, you'll see what I mean. It starts to look like a particular effect of a geometric sort of pattern. Again, if that's something that you like, then that will work with it. But if you're wanting to use variegated colours, this, you know, having 5 or 6 different colour changes, or just using the one, as long as it's got enough colour changes in the one ball, will look fine. So let me just get my other 5th colour, or 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5th colour. So I've actually got another 2, so I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 balls. Okay, so that's a nice one with a pink and a yellow and a mustard in it. And then there's this one that's got a lot of pinks in it and a bit of orange. And you see what I mean? Like, I haven't even taken the ball band off, and this is what's happening. So that equates a big tangle and a big mess when I go to take that off, and I'm going to have to rewind that ball before I can use it. Otherwise I'll have a knot, which when I recently did one of my crochet classes, one of my students, it happened for her, and her mother was here, and her mother, you know, took the whole 2 hours, I think, to unwind the ball. So it's really annoying. I don't want that happening. Moda Vera Valley, I think it comes in about 10 or 15 different colours. They're not the cheapest, so wait for a sale, which if you live in Australia, you know, and you're a Spotlight member, you know, wait for the sale when they have like the 40% off. And then you can get some good bargains. All right, so let's go with maybe, I think I might go with this pink. No, I might go with that pink, because then that pink will be here close to that, because this looks very similar, doesn't it? See that one there? They look very similar, but they are a different ball. I don't want the two similar ones close together. All right, so I'm going to work with the pink. So I'll do another 2 lots of 5 around. So now working along here, we've got our 15 stitches. We've got our extra 5 and extra 5. So now from 20, we're increasing to 25. So do you see what I mean? It's easier just to keep it a nice sort of number that's easy to multiply. So 25, 25. When it gets to here, it'll be now 30, 30. 35, 35, 40, 40. Yeah. It's easier to count up in 5s. All right, so I'm going to add on the pinks, and then both pinks, and then I'll come back and you'll have a look at how it's looking. Okay, so I've finished my 4th round, or 5th actually, if you count the square in the middle. So that's how it's looking so far. I really love these pastel colours. I'm not sure about these darker ones. I think even if you kept it all the pastels, I haven't added this last pink one on yet because I just wanted to make it into a square for now. I think even if you added that other pink one and just kept with the pastel colours, it would look really lovely and like a colour wash. But then again, using darker colours that, you know, will throw some splashes of bright later on can look very dramatic as well. Like you can have your like colour wash and then it'll have like a splash of red or yellow here. And I'll show you now what I mean with another blanket that I made. It's a wool one. I've made it probably about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but I'll bring it out and I'll show you now how that looks, and you'll understand what I mean by, you know, having some dramatic colours every so often looks really good. I've got 3 different ones here at the moment. I've got a few more outside, and then I've got other ones that I'll pop photos in that I made for other people, so I don't have them anymore. But this one, I used just more solid colours. I did use wool, and I combined like 2 or 3 strands together because it was a finer sort of yarn. But you can see I've started off with an even smaller square in there. I think that's only like about 5 stitches. And then worked, you know, so that was the next one there, then there, next, out and out and out. And so it works out like that into different colours. And yeah, I think I started like using pink, purple, then blues, then I went to greens, and then blue again, and then green again, grey, 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 grey. Then I went into pink, 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 bit of orange, and a bit of brown and burgundy. Yeah, I sort of like tried to keep some sort of pattern theme happening there where one colour sort of led into the next, if you can understand what I mean. Okay, so that's more of a solid colour one. It's still got a bit of variegation in it because I've used different strands of colours together. And then this one, this was Bendigo Bloom. So this is the wool that they had a few years back. Sorry, I hope my fingers are not going in the camera there. Just trying to hold them as I go. It looks like just a big granny square, but when I open it out, actually that's the back, sorry. Let me just turn it around the right way. It's quite a big blanket. I think it's a 1.5 metre, whatever that is in inches, I don't know. But this was Bendigo Bloom, and it was all the same colour range, and these colours just changed as you went. So this is why I love the Bendigo variegated ones, because like, yeah, see, from a green it went into a purple. Actually, I might have had like 2 or 3 different ones, but they still were very similar sort of colours. And yeah, just changed them like every round, and I just love that. Look how beautiful that is. the purples and blues, and I did again a 5-row repeat, not a 7-row. And it's just the colour changes are just very subtle, but it's keeping within the same tone or the same theme of colours, rather than like just all random bright colours on each other. But every so often you have a splash of, like, you know, an aqua there or an aqua there, or that hot pink, or even the reds, more browny reds ones, or this purple. You know, every so often it'll just like splash a brighter colour, and it's just gorgeous. I love it. I love this blanket. It's one of my favourite ones that I use in the winter. All right, and then the other one I actually made 2 of these. I made myself one, and then my sister-in-law loved it, so I made one for her, and she now has that. And I'll pop in a photo of that as well. This was all Bendigo Bloom. So I mean, this one is probably about 10 years old, maybe between 6 and 10 years old, and it's lasted, you know, and it's not pilling or anything, and I've washed it a few times. But yeah, that's again the Bendigo colours. And so you can see there, like, it started off with a lighter one, and then I've got the greens, and then you've got like a splash of yellow or a splash of dark red, and then I've even got, you know, like on this end, a bright red and yellow together. So that's that blanket. But that's that same log cabin design, and I think I've done 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it 7 or 5? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've done 7-row repeat on this, and that looks nice too, because you've got the bigger chunks of logs. The yarn is variegated. It changes. Look at that one there. That's just one yarn has changed those colours in those 7 rows. Or even that this one here sort of changed from a brown into an orange. And I think I might have used that and kept going, because it looks like on this side here, that's actually that same yarn, and it changed into an orange when it went around the corner, and then back to the brown. So I might have even used that one like for 4 rounds. And the same with some of these here, like this green. That green went to there, then it went to here, then it went to sort of a thing, and then a darker green. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, that's what you can do. You don't have to change every single side. You can do maybe 2 or 3 sides if it's got enough colour changes, and then change it to another one, or 4. You know, go around 4 times with the one variegated yarn, then change it. Or just keep it all the same yarn. It's up to you. But anyway, I do love wool because it comes up beautiful, and it's really thick. This is an 8-ply. Yeah, I just wish they still had this yarn, this Bendigo Bloom. I love it. So that's just a little tutorial on how to start off a log cabin blanket using acrylic yarn that's variegated. I'm not going to keep making this into a blanket because I need this yarn for another project that I've already started. So I will be pulling this out. But it's an idea for me for the future to make one out of this. It's very hard wearing, and it is a little bit of a thicker fabric. It's not as soft as the wool one that I've made. And the acrylic is just a little bit more hard wearing. So this is a really good one for a picnic blanket even, or, you know, if you want it out in the garden on a outdoor seat. I've got 2 log cabin blankets out on my outdoor furniture. I won't be keeping this one, but I will make another one in wool just to show you the difference, and also show how you can combine like 2 threads together if it's finer yarn, and do colour changes like that. As I have done some of those, but they were commissions, or they were for other people, and I didn't keep them, so I've only got photos of them now. So I hope that's helped you. And so to do a border on this, you can do a half double crochet border around it, maybe in one colour or something, or one row of each of the threads, each of the variegations. Or you can do a single crochet border. I usually like to do nothing fancy on a log cabin blanket because it's already very square. I think it looks better in just a plain border. So I like to do maybe 7 or 9 single crochet rows or a half double crochet row border in a different colour, or maybe just keep, you know, one of the colours for the outside so it's the same all the way around. Yeah, if I do a wool one, I'll show you how I do that border, or I might even just keep this swatch so I can do a border on it later on when you need it, when your blankets are nice and big. Okay, so I hope that's helped you today, and let me know how you go with it. So I had another go at this square today, and I just wanted to give you a bit of an update. So remember, I didn't like that dark blue and the darker colour that I had on there. I just felt like it didn't really flow nicely with these muted colours. So I redid it and just used the lighter, more pastel shades. And then I've still got this blue one in, which turns into it goes into a light blue and a purple mauve colour. And I just think that will fit in better because you've got the blues in this one as well. And then the pinks sort of flow into each other. I just think trying to keep colours in the same tones does look better for this Moda Vera Valley yarn. The other one, you know, gets the brighter blues and oranges, and maybe as it gets bigger it might fit, but I just feel for where it's in the centre section here, it sort of goes better like this. So I just wanted to show you that I did an update and I'm happier with these colours now. Now I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't continue this and make a blanket out of it, but I'll wait for Spotlight's next sale and get some more of the Moda Vera Valley. So I've got another granny square blanket that I'm making, and this one now. So yeah, and I'm also making beanies out of this. A few projects with this yarn. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.